Welcome back to Live With, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. I'm Dave Palumbo, and tonight's guest is the Vancouver Pro Classic Men's Champion, Khaled Chikhaoui. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks very much for having me, Dave. It's an honor to be on your show.
It's an honor for me to be able to pronounce your name right for once. I should have just contacted you right off the bat and said, how the hell do you pronounce your name? Now I'm an expert.
But that stuff doesn't work. Most of the time I tell people how to say my name, and then 5 minutes later, they forget it. So
now
I'm glad
I got it.
On.
Khaled Chikhaoui. I'm never forgetting that. Now, you have an interesting story because you started in bodybuilding. You won the Canadian Nationals in 2016, winning the heavyweight and the overall, and you actually beat Chris Bumstead in that show. A lot of people might not realize that. Talk to me a little bit about how you got into bodybuilding, because you're one of these guys that have been all over the world. You were born in Tunisia, you moved to several different countries. How did you get introduced to bodybuilding?
So when I was a little kid, I was kind of like lazy, never really into sports or anything. But my big brother, he was like a lot into sports, soccer, football. Mm-hmm. He was always like active, and he got me off from being like lazy and took me to the gym. I started, and after a few months, my body really reacted well. Some guys in the gym suggested that I do a bodybuilding show. I did, and I've been hooked ever since.
What year was that you started?
The first competition I did was in Savannah, Georgia, and it was in 2009.
Wow. Was that when you were living in the United States going to school?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Okay.
I moved to Italy at the age of 5. I lived there for 9 years, and then I went to Egypt. I lived there for 5 years, and then I decided I wanted to learn English. So I was like, what's the best way? I'm going to go and, immerse myself in the culture. And I went to Tennessee, of all places, for an undergrad. And then I moved to Savannah, Georgia, just for a year. That's where I competed the first time.
How did you learn to speak English? Coming here, did you have some English already at your disposal?
I mean, it was very little English that we had to learn in school, maybe a couple classes.
Wow.
But it was really, really hard because I was kind of dropped in the airport and I had no clue how to say anything. And, in Tennessee, they don't speak like in New York.
No, it's like, I'm shocked you don't have a southern accent from learning to speak there.
I used to have a little bit, but, and it was very difficult, but I caught on, man. I think my experience of learning languages made it easy.
Yeah, you have a knack for them. So what languages do you speak?
So I speak Arabic, the Tunisian kind. It's like a first dialect. The
Right.
Egyptian one too. Italian, French, English, and some Spanish also.
Wow, that's impressive. Now, see, I heard before that Egyptian has a very noticeable, I guess you could say, dialect because. This is a funny story because I don't even want to tell the story. Why is the Egyptian different than the regular Arabic?
I mean, I think that the main root of Arabic is the Arab, kind of like Latin is for all the
Right.
European languages. So, but the closest one to the real Arabic is Egyptian.
Oh, okay.
Plus, there's like a whole movie scene in Egypt, kind of like Bollywood. So all our movies that are Arabic are most likely coming from Egypt.
I got you. So you can speak to Big Ramy, no problem then, right?
Oh yeah, no problem, fluently. But he can't. If I speak Tunisian to him, he probably won't understand anything.
Really? That's interesting. That's very interesting. I'm fascinated by languages because I have no memory. I have a terrible memory at memorizing words, so I can't learn languages. I can learn the grammatical aspect of it, but I can't remember all the words. How do you remember all the different words from all the different languages?
It's I don't know, man. I think, when I was born and I was very young, there was 3 languages going on in the house, right? So it was Arabic. I was in Italy, so I had to speak Italian, and then I was going to a French school. So it was like, yeah.
Can you differentiate them, or do you put them all together sometimes,
When I was young, I remember speaking Arabic to my Italian teacher a few times, yeah. So really shocked, but
so when you hear someone talking and you understand it, do you always recognize what language it is, or do you just know it in your head?
Actually, I'm very strong at actually detecting the language from people's accents.
Wow!
Because I've been all over the place, and I've heard and met a lot of people from. So I love languages too, big time.
Interesting. So when you turned pro in 16 and you beat a really spectacular lineup of guys there, and that's when all the young guys were really coming out of Canada. Bumstead was in that lineup. What were people telling you? Were you like, I mean, did you feel like, hey, man, I got this. I'm going to be an open guy and I'm going to do some damage in the IFBB? And you kind of went right into a pro show right out of that Canadian Nationals win. Talk to me a little bit about what you were thinking and what was being told to you after you won that national championships.
Okay. So, you know, ever since I started competing at nationals in 2011, it was already a blessing for me to be in the national stage. Back then, I felt it was probably the highest I'll ever go.
Right.
And then in 2014, I won my class for the first time as a light heavyweight.
Right.
And then they gave me some pointers, the judges, on what to improve on. And you know, I took a year off in 2015, worked on all my weak body parts, brought them up. And I was a little, you know, I would say I was the most confident that year. And my coach was really, really confident for me, to the point that he told me, you know, I bet you're going to win. And if we do win, we're going to jump into a pro show right away. But I didn't know what to step on afterwards because I was a heavyweight.
Right.
The open wasn't really appealing to me because, like I told you before, I was kind of skinny at a young age, so it's hard for me to maintain a very heavy weight.
Right.
But 212 was amazing for me. I loved that class. It's just that I was, you know, year after year, shorter people kept showing up.
Sure.
And I just looked kind of like lengthy compared to them. You know?
And you couldn't gain any muscle, right? I mean, pretty much. You never
it
make
was
the
at
weight.
the limit. Exactly, yeah.
So you do the 212 in the IFBB pro ranks. You did Tampa that year. The following year, you did, what'd you do, Toronto or something like that, or Vancouver in 2017. And then you decide for 2018, like a lot of other guys that I've seen do this now, you're switching to Classic. What prompted that? Who helped make that decision for you? And how did you know that was the right decision?
So as soon as the class came out, a lot of people around me, people I like and my friends were telling me, you really should do Classic. That class is for you. Actually, after doing Tampa for the first time as a 212, one of the judges, I don't remember who he was, but he came to me and he told me, you should do Classic. That's what we're looking for. But it still wasn't appealing to me, you know, the Classic with the lower weight, and back then it was even lower. I think it was like 190 for my height.
Right.
Plus the shorts, you know, it's tough to get out of the trunks, and the fact that it was called the Classic Physique instead of Bodybuilding, you know,
right.
Really at heart. But you know, it was always in the back of my mind because I saw Chris Bumstead jumping right into it, and he was doing so good, so fast. So I was like, you know, if they increase the weight, if they change the boxers and maybe change the name, I would definitely make the switch. But last year they increased the weight to 200 pounds, and I was convinced enough to do it.
You still had to suck down 15 pounds to make that weight. I mean, what do you have to do? Do you basically get down ahead of time, or do you have to like basically dehydrate yourself to death to make that weight class?
It was the first experience with my coach, right? Toronto was the first time. We didn't know what we were expecting. We always had the same recipe for all the other contests, but for this one, it was like brand new. He had an idea, but it was really hard for me to make weight. Extremely hard. Like, I think I was 210 pounds the night before the weigh-in.
Wow.
And we had to do sauna. We had to do all kinds of crazy stuff to just barely make it. Actually, at the weigh-in, I was 2 pounds over, and they gave me 30 minutes extra to lose the 2 pounds.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's not fun. That's not fun.
So afterwards, I just blew up, right? Because I guess I was so dehydrated, and whatever I ate, I blew up, and I was bigger on stage. So, you know, it's funny because I was about 209 on stage as a classic physique, and I was about 209 on stage as a bodybuilder for 212.
So that you really didn't change much. So you didn't have to really lose any muscle, is what you're saying. You pretty much had the same physique.
Yeah, that's what made it cool for me.
Yeah. So you placed second behind Terrence Ruffin, who looked amazing, obviously, at that Toronto show. Then you decide, I'm going to do Vancouver. Obviously, it's still in Canada. It's not that big a deal. It's on the other coast. But yeah, I'm going to go do Vancouver. What were you thinking? Did you think you had a good shot at winning that?
Actually, I honestly felt like I had a good shot at winning the Toronto Pro. Not saying that taking away anything from Terrence, but after the prejudging, there was a lot of hype around me. I guess people were
Right.
coming to me and saying, "You looked amazing. I think you got this." Terrence is amazing. He's an incredible poser, and he had a good balance to his physique. So it could have gone, I guess, both ways.
Right.
But when I lost, I was still very happy with my placing. And again, the judges told me I should go to Vancouver. You just bring a tighter physique. They gave me some pointers, and I worked on that for 4 weeks with my coach and brought the new package.
And you did, and you won, and we'll see. We're going to be seeing you on the Olympia stage in 6 weeks. Is that a dream come true for you?
I think that was like beyond a dream for me. I never even felt I could ever step on that stage. And I've always kind of like approached shows as like the humble guy. I'll do what I can, hopefully top 5, but confidence kind of built up, and now I just hopefully people won't count me out. I think I can bring something cool to the stage.
Right. Now, knowing that you've beat Bumstead before, and he was second in the world in Classic last year, do you feel that you have a good shot at making that top 3?
It was 2 years ago, right, that we had the battle back,
Yeah.
and he was incredible on stage at Nationals. He peaked, I think. He was full, round, shredded. I got second. I was happy to beat him. And then he went on, I think 2 weeks later, to North Americans, and he won his class,
Right.
Pro. So I mean, I think he's the only one I can compare myself to on the Olympia stage, right? So
Yeah.
I beat him before. I think anything is possible. He made a lot of improvements ever since, right? Ever since he turned pro. But I have too. So anything can happen.
What's with all this Canadian talent? All of a sudden, we never had all this Canadian talent. Now all of a sudden, the best guys are coming out of Canada now. What do you guys got in the drinking water up there?
I don't know. We have the maple something secret going on here.
Something's going on up there. I got to find out what it is. Now, you have an interesting background because you have a degree in software engineering. Where you learned. Well, you tell us what it is. What is your degree in, and what are you skilled at doing? I guess.
So in the United States, I studied computer science and mathematics because I was always passionate about computers. So the next step was to do software engineering.
Right.
So you can learn how to build websites and apps and stuff like that.
Right.
So that's what I went on doing. And I worked as a software engineer for a few years, a project manager, IT business analyst, all the way up to operations lead. And
Wow.
At that point, I kind of felt tired of working for somebody else because I had a baby in mind, like I had like a project in mind, and
Right.
I've always been working on it on the side, but I gave it my all since last year in September.
Explain to us what FitLog is, because you told me before the show, and I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, so FitLog is at college we had to create a thesis, which was like basically a product that combines two of your passions. So I created FitLog, a simple Java-based platform back then, and it was just an application that helps you calculate macros on a diet. That was it. And when I showed it to the teachers and the judge panel of the masters, they really suggested me that I should continue working on it and not just stop there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I kept doing, and I kept adding on features. I was also a trainer throughout my time as a student, just to make ends meet.
Sure.
So I was actually experiencing what a trainer needed, and I kept on adding all the features. I was tired of creating diets and workouts on Excel sheets and Word documents.
I hate that. I hate it.
And emails, and you don't remember who sent you what. And so I was like, man, I wish I could have like a one-stop shop for everything you ever need: reminders, diets, workouts, supplement protocols, even like weekly, everything. So that's what I'm working on. I've been working on it for the past 4 years, I'd say, intensely. Anybody can go and try it. It's for coaches, gurus, and trainers, or even fitness enthusiasts that just want to follow their diets.
It's free. It's free for the first 3 clients you put in there, right?
Yeah, and it's free for forever if you're just using it for yourself.
Right. That's awesome. That's a great service you're offering. So anyone can go in there, sign up for an account. It's free. You download it. You put your information, all your macros in there, and you got it made. Now, if you're a coach and you want to keep track of all the clients that you're working with, which is something I should do, except I'm too lazy to enter all the people's names in there, although I might do it. I might have to hire someone to do it. You can put all the names of all your clients in there, so at the touch of your phone, you can look up your client and see exactly what they're eating, taking, supplements, all that great stuff. And you'll see all the macros listed out, correct?
Exactly, yeah. So
Wow.
I get to meet the client or we have a phone call scheduled. I just go on the app, I check what he's been eating, what he's been training,
Right.
and then I know what to talk about, right? Most of the times you have so many clients, you forget what your client is on or what he's doing or
Sure.
eating. So it's a cool way. Plus you can put reminders and whenever like the diet is expiring, so it reminds you to update.
That's really what's the most important thing is when their coaching is expiring. I think what happens is we forget a lot of times, you know.
Exactly. So that's how I added this feature actually 2 months ago because I was losing money, right? Like, how come I made so much less than last month? And I remembered that I forgot to contact clients, and
Right.
I guess it makes you kind of like you seem like you don't care, but I'm creating the app to make you seem like you care a lot,
Right.
and not just seem, but actually care because you're on top of things, right?
I'm going to actually download it. I'm going to put a few clients in. I'm going to see how I like it. I'm going to test it out. I think it's a great idea. I love creativity too, and it's something that you're passionate about. It's something you can constantly make better, and I'm sure people can submit suggestions to you, and you can add on features to it, correct?
That's 100%. Like that's one of my kind of like model is I take all the criticism, all the comments into consideration. I add them onto my roadmap so that everybody feels kind of like they're building this huge
Right.
thing. And I'll tell you, like half of my features this year were from people on Instagram. Just I wish you could add this. I wish you could
Right.
add that, and I'll just do it. You know, it's mine, right? So it's very cool.
What is your Instagram account?
It's Khaled OFT.
Okay. And you have the Olympia coming up now in 6 weeks. Obviously, you're preparing for it. By the look of your face, it looks like you're already ready. Are you pretty much in contest shape now?
Oh, and basically after doing the 2 shows, it was really hard for me, I guess, back to back. My coach told me you need to step away. So kind of like no restriction on diet. Do whatever you want for 2 weeks.
Right.
And that's what I did. I traveled to Mexico and I came back 8 weeks out and I started the prep. It's been hard, you know, because I guess withdrawal from all the sugar and stuff. But actually this week I feel pretty good. The energy levels are back and losing most of the water that I gained on vacation.
Khaled went to Mexico for a vacation. He came back speaking Spanish.
After 5 days.
Add it to the list. You'll be like Nasser El Sambadi pretty soon. You'll have 8 languages at your disposal.
Yeah, it would be awesome to look like him too.
And one of his languages was Egyptian too. So
Yeah.
that seems to be the universal bonding language that everyone uses. Hey, congratulations on the big win in Vancouver and the Olympia qualification, and we'll see you in Las Vegas, and hopefully we'll see you in that top 5 call out there.
Oh, that would be a dream come true, man, for real. If you don't mind, I wanted to just thank my sponsors. ATP, it's Montreal-based. It's like one of the best supplement company here. Basically, we joined together last year. They saw some talent in me, I guess, and we wanted to work together.
Mm-hmm.
I never worked with anybody else, but their work ethic, their integrity and honesty is really what brought me to want to work with them and people with that kind of values.
Congratulations on the contract too. That's awesome. It seems like everything's going right for you, and that's the ultimate bodybuilder's dream, right? To be able to do what you love to do, get paid for it, and be successful in competition. And you got all that lined up pretty well right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna knock on some wood right after this. Thank you very much for your time, Dave.
When you put hard work in, you don't have to try to knock on wood or hope that good things will happen to you. You kind of make it happen, and that's what you did. And I think a lot of people should take a note of this interview and see that you put a ton of hard work in. You went to school, you became a software engineer, you worked, and then you started your own business. You know, you live in the American or the Canadian dream, I should say, and you know you're a successful guy, and you're doing things that you actually enjoy doing. And I think that's a great. I guess you're being held up as a great role model for a lot of guys that watch the show and realize that, hey, you know what? If I'm willing to work hard too at what I love, I can make it as well.
Hey, amen to that, man. I'll keep working hard on maintaining that image. I appreciate the kind words.
All right, and that's going to take us to the end of another episode of Live With, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. I'm Dave Palumbo, and we'll see you next time.